Why is nobody buying pre-construction new condos? How expensive are they compared to resale market? And when will all of these start to change? Hi everyone, YiNan here. Today we want to share with you a few data points I found interesting that can help explain the gap in the pre-construction and the resale condo market and help explain why is there no activity in this segment and how much additional price change may be needed for this to happen. Let's take a look at the data. On the screen, you will see that this is a chart that shows you from 1986 to 2024. Pre-construction condos were sold each year for these 40 years, right? And this covers the entire GTA, including plus Hamilton. So you can see that last year, 2024, we only sold 4,590 pre-construction condo sales. And that is very low. Compared to the year before, 2023, it's a 64% drop, okay? More than half of drop. If you look at 2014 to 2024, the last 10 years, average was about 20,000, okay, sales. And we are 78% decline compared to the last 10 years average. Okay, so that's like almost 80% less sales compared to even the average, not even the peak. The peak, we sold 30,000 units per year in 2021 and 2017, right? There's a lot of sales in a few years. We're not comparing to those. We're comparing to the average, and we're 80% less. That shows you how little buyers there is for pre-construction condos. And if we look at last time we have this little sales, that's to 1996. Okay, that's like almost 30 years ago. Probably a lot of us, a lot of our audience, including myself, were not even paying attention to real estate market back then, right? This is like a long time ago. And that's after the 1989 real estate crash, right? Remember 1988 and earlier, real estate market was doing quite well. And you can see there's a lot of pre-construction sales even in 1986, 87, 88. But started 89 all the way until 1999. There's very little pre-construction transactions for that whole 10 years. Okay, it's like 10 years that's lost. Not only pre-construction was slow, resale market price was very slow as well, right? So that's kind of 10 years that's just forgotten in the real estate history. And then started 2000, the real estate market started to gain more confidence in the future, and pre-construction started to boom, and more developers were joining the market. More and more condos were being built in the last 20 years. So it gives you a bit of history, right? How Toronto has transitioned and from mainly freehold low-rise to having a lot of condos today is the past 20 years that really made a huge difference to the Toronto condo scene. So there's not a lot of sales in the last year. The interesting part of the data I wanted to show you, aside from sales, price-wise, I found a pretty big gap, right, between the new home for condos and new home for freehold. What do I mean by that? If you look at the screen, this is basically the benchmark price for new homes in the Greater Toronto area for condos and single family. Okay, single family includes detached homes and possibly some semi-detached or townhouses, but they're the smaller segment, right? But let's call them all single family homes, not including condos. The average price in GTA in the past 20 years, you can see that it has grown a lot and then it dropped a bit after 2017. It grew a lot in 2022 and then dropped again, right? So similar trend to the resale market. It has some up and downs, okay? But this is new homes price. So the current average price for detached freehold is $1.55 million, okay? Now for condos, it has a similar experience where the condos did not experience this drop in 2017. Condos kept going up. And we see that in the same trend in resale market as well. New condos price started dropping after 2022 as well. And average new condo price has dropped to $1 million because it makes sense. For new pre-construction, a lot of even the 1+1 2-bedroom, small 2 bedrooms, they're selling near the 800 to $1 million mark And then the 2-bedroom plus 3-bedroom, they're usually over $1 million, right? So average price about $1 million. So there's a gap between the condo and the single family homes for new homes. Now the gap I found interesting was if you compare to the resale market. For GTA, resale market average price, if you look at detached, average price is $1.38 million. And it has gone through some ups and downs like we saw. 2017 was here, it came down, went up again, 2022, up at a peak and then came down, right? So if we compare detached average price for resale to the new home at 1.55, there's a difference, but not too big. It's 1.38 to 1.55. And for condos, the difference is huge. The resale market right now, it's 670,000. Okay, 670,000 average price in GTA for a resale condo. That includes both new condos and old condos, right? There's no pre-construction here, right? Same thing for detached homes. It includes the newer ones and the really old ones. Average 1.38 million. And average condo 670. So if you calculate the difference between 670 to $1 million, the difference is huge. Over 330,000, right? It's even bigger if you compare it to percentage-wise. Almost like 50% more, right, on the price-wise. And if you compare the average price for detached market, 1.38 to 1.55, not a huge difference. And if we prorate the percentage difference, right, to apply to the condos, then the condo pre-sale market, and some of you may say, okay, maybe this single family includes semi-detached and townhouses. Okay, I calculated. Even if we include semi-detached and townhouses, this 1.38 is only 1.26, okay? Which is still a lot closer to the 1.55. So if we calculate this percentage, and if we use 1.55 divided by 1.26 and use that differential to apply on the resale price of the condos, you'll see that there's still a almost $200,000 gap between where the pre-sale for the condo should be versus where they are today to be in the similar price differential between new and resale homes. So this number needs to come down to about 820,000, okay, for it to match the single family differential between new and resale homes, which that helps explain why is there nobody buying the new condos, because the price comparing to resale homes is way too high. And you cannot really blame the developers because they cannot just simply drop the price by 200,000 because they have costs, right, for building these condos. They need financing and they need to sell a percentage satisfactory to the bank so that they can get financing. And the bank has to see, okay, you're going to make money on this project before I give you financing, right? If all the condo developers start to drop price by 200K, they're not going to make money on this project. And the bank will say no to financing. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg game, right? So two things has to happen for the condo pre-sale market to catch up to the freehold single family differential. Either the pre-construction price has to come down by 200K, or the resale market has to grow by about 200K, or some combination of the two. New condo pre-construction come down by, let's say, 80K, and the resale catch up by 120K, and then they kind of meet somewhere in the middle for it to make sense. And that's when I think buyers will then start to return to the new condo space. And that we'll have to see what's going to happen in the future, right? That can maybe help to close that $200,000 gap. And one of the two things has to happen, right? Like I mentioned, either the new construction has to come down on the price or the resale has to catch up. It sounds like it's very hard for the pre-construction price to come down, then there's no incentive to build. Developers will likely simply stop building for the next few years until the market turns, that there's no new inventory. There's so little completions happen in the next few years, and then people keep coming, new immigrants, new demand keeps coming, and resale markets start to catch up over time because there's no new inventory being added. Then existing condos become more and more valuable, right? Then people start to purchase new homes again, right? So that's how I think it's going to happen. And based on data points, we can see that right now we have very little sales, right? But completion, we have a lot. In 2024, we had a record high completion of 29,800. Okay, that's almost 30,000 new units completed last year. If you compare to the year before, 2023, we had a 24,000 units. Okay, so still a lot. And this year, 2025, we're expect to have 31,000 units scheduled to finish construction. That's a huge number. Remember how much we sold last year? Only 4,600. And we finished 30,000 last year units, right? That's a big difference. So if we continue to have very low sales, that's going to translate to very low starts, right? Because condos are, pre-construction works like this. You sell first, and if you sell a lot, you're going to start building a lot. And then down the road, you're going to finish a lot, right? If you sell very little, then we start very little, and in the future, we complete very little units. So right now, if we have sold very little but completed a lot, that means, okay, our condo market is going to continue to struggle for the foreseeable future, but because we're not building. Last year, we only started 9,200 units. We completed 30,000. And in this year, 2025, I think we're scheduled to start even less because there's very little sales activities, right? In the last quarter, Q4, only 6 projects, 1,800 units, and only 10% of that units were sold. You can see there's very little sales activity, which means next few years we're going to have very low starts. Last year had 9,000. This year probably going to have even less. Next year probably not a lot either, right? So there's likely going to be a massive decrease in new supply beginning 2026, 2027, and onwards, right? So that's basically the trend forecast. So when we have less supply in the future, and if we continue to build up demand, maybe at some point the market will start churning. And until we close that $200,000 of gap, then that's when the pre-construction market will start to get busy again, because then it makes sense to buy, right? But right now, if we're comparing to the freehold single family segment, we are way off, right? The single family segment, resale and pre-construction, the difference is very small. But condos, pre-construction and resale, the difference is very big. And we need to wait until they sort of close that gap or make the gap a lot smaller for this particular pre-construction market to start moving again. Okay, that's just something I found interesting. I wanted to share with you. And if you like this kind of content, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And in the future video, we'll talk about the struggles of the investors with the rents, right? There's new data on condo rents. I found it very interesting too. So until next time, ciao.